If you are new here, my name is Nikki. I have been reselling part-time for 10 years. We're gonna jump right into it. This is gonna be a long one. Grab a snack, grab a notepad. I've done the research for you. Don't forget to subscribe. I upload multiple times a week. Let's jump into it. Brand number one, Harley-Davidson. Now, you may disagree with me on some of these brands. Some of these brands you may have never heard of. Some of these brands you might be like, Nikki, that's trash. But just hear me out. There will be a lot of caveats in these videos. Certain things that I'll say, you know, does better in a certain brand, like a particular piece like jeans, leather, all those different types of things to just keep in mind. This video is just to open your mind, to keep your eyes open while you're out shopping, thrifting, retail arbitrage to brands, and maybe look up some comps and check it out. All right. Harley-Davidson, I find a ton of leather at the bins. I don't know why I get so lucky. I'd say like 50% of the time it's completely tattered and messed up because, you know, it's been worn and well loved. But a lot of it I find in really good condition. I find like a lot of leather vests that I've resold. I'm picking them up at the bins. I'm usually paying like $2 to $5 per item. It's usually a little heavier, so it can be more, but I also have friends that do really well selling like Harley-Davidson t-shirts, particularly the men's items. So just be on the lookout, look up comps. I have always told you guys, I've been doing this for 10 years and I still look up comps like 90% of the time when I'm out thrifting, because sometimes, you know, these brands make a ton of different items. They make dresses, they make skirts, they make jackets, and the jackets may have a horrible sell-through rate, but then like the leather goods might have 100% sell-through rate. For my business with thrifted items, I try to focus on very high sell-through rates because I want to move the items quickly. I don't focus on that so much when I buy liquidation, but thrifted items this year has been all about high sell-through rate. If you want a video on sell-through rate, let me know in the comments down below. I've got my list, so if you see me looking over. Pendleton. I love selling men's Pendleton. I don't do as well selling the women's items. So love selling the men's items. The women's items tend to sit a little bit more for me, but when they do sell, they sell for a little bit of like a higher price. So check out the comps, check out the sell-through rate. Wilson's Leather. This is another one, I should say, if you're new here, I live in Los Angeles. So I feel like a lot of these brands that I'm saying I find all the time are very much because of my location. I don't know why. I'm not exaggerating. Every single time I go to the bins, I find a Wilson's leather jacket. Is it always in the best condition? No. Most of the time it's not. But then the ones that I do find that are in good condition, they do not sell very fast. Full disclosure. Sell-through rate isn't great on all of the leather, but some of their leather jackets, specifically the men's leather jackets, will sell for full price, and I've paid like $5 for it and it'll sell for like over $100. So it might be worth it. Even the vintage looking pieces, because Wilson's leather has been around for a while. Look up the comps, check the sell-through rate. Very good brand if you have the space. They can be bulky too. Their jackets and their things can be bulky, but I love picking it up when it's in good condition. This is one you may have not heard of. I didn't learn about it till like year 5 of my reselling career, Dale of Norway. I love selling their sweaters. They sell very fast for me. They're made from really good quality materials and they usually sell for full price. I don't find them a ton here in Los Angeles. I think I've only found them like 3 times, but when they sell, they sell great. I should say I will put the brand name, I should move over or something, like the tag somewhere on the screen, so I'm pretty sure that'll be helpful. Probably should have done that before I started rambling, but I'm just so excited to film this video for you guys. Next up, flax. I love selling flax. I tend to find flax, it's spelled F-L-A-X. I should have looked this brand up because they must focus on using like linen and cottons. I only find this brand in 100% linen. Have I found any cotton pieces? Usually linen dresses, linen pants. It's very like lagging look, relaxed fit vibes. It always gets a lot of attention in my closet, in my eBay store. And it sells really well for me, usually for full price. Love finding that brand. I don't find it often. But when I do find it, I get really excited. Next up, this is another brand I don't find a lot of, Dolls Kill. And I don't pick up everything from them. I would recommend checking the comps, but they do have like a niche following of people that love their stuff. I tend to sell this more on Poshmark, but definitely it's worth taking a look at comps if you find them. All right, let's jump into some brands I'm sure a lot of you know that we just have to talk about because they still do pretty well in certain categories. I've got my list. Lilly Pulitzer. I should never say never. In my area in Southern California, I almost never find this brand, but when I travel, especially like the South, like when I was in Florida, when I was in Georgia, and then the East Coast when I was in North Carolina, I found a ton of it at really good prices, you guys, at the thrift store for like $5. And I was looking up some of the dress comps, and I just had no idea that they sold for so much used because I never find it here in LA. I feel like it's a very regional popular brand. Anyways, I picked up a ton of dresses for $5 and sold them for like $40 to $50 on eBay. So definitely look it up. Like I'm going to keep repeating with all these brands, everything is not worth picking up from every brand in every category. Like I wouldn't say like pick up all Lilly Pulitzer. You definitely want to look it up based on what you find. But that was like a recent one for me that I was like, geez, I wish I did find more of this where I live because it sells really well. I wrote down Abercrombie. I used to love selling Abercrombie, especially when I first started reselling. Now I don't pick it all up. This is a brand I find every single time in Los Angeles when I go thrifting. I find it. I look up the comps. They have a lot of different jeans styles that are really popular with bloggers. A lot of different like two-piece sets that are really popular. So it's worth looking up comps on that. I wouldn't say pick up everything, but like some of their loose fitting jeans do really well for me. Birkenstocks. I'm gonna piss some people off. I tend to stay the hell away from these shoes because every time I find them, they're like look like they're beat to shreds, and then I'll look up comps on beat to shred Birkenstocks and they sell for like $30, $40. I'm like, what? People, listen, people love what they love. I always say as a reseller, you do not need to love what you sell. I always watch these videos and I think it's nice. And they're like, I have to love what I sell and I have to be connected to it. I do not. I think Birkenstocks are hideous, but I don't care. I will sell them to you. I currently have like 10 listed in my eBay store and they sell all the time. I don't have to love what I sell. I sell everything, you guys. I don't just sell clothing. I sell golf balls. I sell tennis rackets. I sell everything. So, you know, I'm not the biggest fan. And sometimes I find them and I'm like, no one's going to want these. They have like the dirty toe stains and they sell. So it's worth taking a look at comps. I wouldn't pay up for them. Just take a look at the current situation. I feel like these types of videos are very time sensitive, right? So things change all the time. Some brands are super popular and then they tank. Some brands are not so popular and then they blow up. So I might consider making these like once a quarter or something because at the time that I'm filming this, Birkenstocks, you know, they're not reselling a ton for me used, but like 3 years ago, they were selling for like $50 to $70 used. Now I get like 30 to 40, so I wouldn't pay up for them, but I do find them quite a bit at the bins. I think they look like a mess and then they sell. So who am I to judge? So this one, I'm kind of cheating. I'm going to just put them together. COS and Aritzia. Aritzia is actually a store and they make like trendy, comfy. It kind of reminds me of like an elevated Gap or Banana Republic, but a little more trendy. And they make a bunch of different types of clothing. Very popular right now while I'm filming this in 2023. I don't find a ton of Aritzia at the thrift store. I do find a ton of COS and I typically only pick it up if it's a nicer fabric. Like sometimes I find a cashmere at the bins. I always preach this tip to you guys. If you find cashmere or silk, even if it is damaged and it has holes, lot it up. I mean, that means basically find like 5 or 10 pieces and sell it on eBay and list it as a crafter's lot. You have to put that in your title because specifically crafters love that fabric. It's very expensive. So they don't care if it has holes, if it's like ripped to shreds. I've literally bought 10 pieces of completely shredded cashmere from the bins. Cost me like $2 each per item, probably a little less because this is when the bins was still under $2. And I sold it for $75 on eBay, you guys. So just keep that in mind. That just tips links are gonna come to me as we talk about these brands, but COS, I tend to find a ton of like men's higher end like cashmere pieces, and they actually do pretty well for me. I don't pick up everything from them, but those are the key pieces that stand out. All right, Aviator Nation. I love finding this brand. I wanna say in the last 3 years, I've probably only found it like 3 times. It's a very casual, comfy, what do you call it? Trendy brand. They make a lot of sweatshirts, t-shirts, and this stuff, I found some sweatpants, you guys, that look like they'd been run over by a car, but they still sold for $65 in less than a day. So if you find anything Aviator Nation, at least in 2023, I say give it a look up, check comps for sure. Next up, On Running. I don't know if it's called On Running, anyways. I've only found this brand once. It's recently become really popular. It's, I don't know that they make clothes, but I know they make shoes. They're very expensive. They're like retail for $100 to a couple $100. I found one pair at the thrift store recently for $20, and they sold overnight for $89. And yeah, so just keep a lookout. I'm not sure, I don't typically find it very often, but I wanted to give it an honorable mention because it sold really fast and it's currently a really popular brand. All right, I'm gonna breeze through some of these more popular ones. UGG. You know, you might have your feelings about them, like how I kind of feel about Birkenstocks, but they still sell. People still love them. Specifically, I found some of their like UGG bedroom shoes, which I didn't even know they made. Found them at the thrift store for $15. They sold overnight for $50. So, and I think that's like close to retail, but these ones were like pink and fuzzy. I don't know. They've got a following. Look up comps. I had to put down one of my favorites. You guys can argue with me in the comments. J. Crew. I love selling recent to like current J. Crew pieces, especially the trendier pieces, the dresses, the coats. I don't pick up all J. Crew. I did a whole video talking about mall brands that I love selling, because what I hear from a lot of you is like, well, look, Nikki, I don't live in LA like you do. You know, I'm not finding all these trendy brands. But you could be a reseller and make really great money selling J. Crew, Banana Republic, Eileen Fisher. That's coming up next. Brands that you can probably find wherever you live. So I had to throw that in there, but those are the specific categories that come to mind for me. Love the coats, love the dresses, the newer pieces. They retail for a ton. Not all of them resell that great. So, you know, as always, check comps. Eileen Fisher. Listen, my friends, they don't pick up Eileen Fisher. I would buy Eileen Fisher by the bin load if I could. It has a following, friends, and this is a brand I find every single time I go to the bins or I go to a traditional thrift store. I love selling Eileen Fisher. It retails for a lot. Like a little dress could be like $250 from Eileen Fisher. And I love selling the plus size items. Anything from like an extra large up usually sells within a month for me. Usually within a couple of weeks. Love Eileen. All right, let's talk about some common ones I'm sure you've heard of. American Eagle Outfitters. Still love selling their jeans. I'm currently like in the short season. Love selling that stuff. I don't pick up everything from them, but certain jean styles I love. Victoria's Secret. Listen. This is probably not something you're gonna find often, but vintage Victoria's Secret can sell for so much money. I found this beige, disgusting looking, I don't know how else to describe it. I was actually filming the day at the bins that I found this, and I thought, I'm not gonna put this on camera. There were questionable stains. It was a beige nightgown and it had the vintage Victoria's Secret tag on it. I paid $2.28 for it, and it sold for $130 in 2 days. So you may not find vintage Victoria's Secret everywhere, but something that's more common that you might find is Victoria's Secret pink. And I'm talking like the loud stuff that says like pink all over it. It's made a comeback. People love it. I don't sell it for a ton, maybe 15, 20 bucks, but I usually pick it up when I find it at the bins. Johnny Was is a brand I tend to find more so retail arbitrage. I don't find it a ton here in Los Angeles. It doesn't resell for as much as it used to like 2 or 3 years ago, but people love it. Quick selling brand, does particularly well for me on Poshmark, but also brings a lot of attention to my closet on eBay. All right, let's breeze through some of these that I feel like you're gonna kind of give me some eye rolls. Patagonia, love selling men's Patagonia. T-shirts, jackets, coats, pants. Hi, if you're new here, I love selling activewear. If you are an oldie but a goldie, I have been preaching this for so long. And when I say activewear, a lot of people think I'm talking about leggings or workout shorts. No, I'm talking like fishing pants, cargo pants, tennis skirts, tennis shirts, hiking boots, hiking cleats. I even sold I'm getting so excited. I'm like spitting. I'm sorry. I get really passionate about this. But I feel like it's such an untapped market. This stuff is very expensive. I sold the like walking sticks that people use when they go on like long hikes, like 20-mile hikes. I found them at the Goodwill for $2 and I sold them for 60 bucks, you guys, because this stuff is expensive. It's expensive brand new. It's expensive used. So people go on eBay and they look for a deal. So I love selling like Patagonia, like fishing pants and what is it called? I think it's called what is it called? It's like fishing performance something. It's a specific line that they make for fishing. Pretty sure it's Patagonia. Listen, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Let's breeze through some of these. Kate Spade, blah, blah, blah. Kate Spade, we know. Like I say blah, blah, blah because you know you need to look it up. Maybe I shouldn't breeze through these because if you're a new reseller, I should be specific. Kate Spade has been watered down to Marshalls and TJ Maxx, so it doesn't resell for as much as it used to. They even have their own outlets now. So you do want to look up comps, but I do find it at the Goodwill outlet, the thrift stores. I love picking up the dresses. I love picking up the things that are like 100% cotton. Don't pick up the purses. The purses, man, like 6-7 years ago, used to resell for so much used. Now, like a Kate Spade genuine leather purse, I'd be lucky to get 50 or 60 bucks. Free People, love selling it on Poshmark. Does very well for me. I think 1 year, like my first year of selling on Poshmark, it was like my #1 selling brand. Doesn't sell for I don't sell as much of it on eBay. It does really well for me on Poshmark. More current pieces. Free People's been around forever, so I try to stick to the more current pieces. Nike, love selling Nike. Particularly, I prefer to sell Nike men's, the jackets, the pants. They don't sell for a ton, but I find them every single time. There's a lot of these brands that you're gonna hear me say, they don't sell for a lot, but I find them every time. They're easy pickups for me. So for me, if I'm already at the bins, like I said, I'm looking for things that have a high sell-through rate, but if I find a pair of good quality men's Nike basketball pants, I'm gonna pick them up because eventually they're gonna sell. They might sit for a while, but I'm already there. This is a brand I used to love sending to ThredUp, RIP ThredUp. I don't even wanna talk about it. They get on my nerves. I did a video on it. I can link it down below. Coach and Lululemon. We're gonna bundle those together because I have some things to say. Coach. I find it quite a bit and they mark it up here in Los Angeles. They've lost their damn minds with Coach. Like I will find a used beat up Coach bag in a traditional thrift store listed for 50 bucks. Nay, absolutely not. If I find it at the bins and it's in decent condition, sometimes I will pick it up. I love selling vintage Coach. I don't find it often, but when I do find it, it sells for great money. I'm talking the 1941, the 100% leather Coach. I love selling that stuff. So keep an eye out. Those have really good sell-through rates. I mean, and even some of the traditional, just the C canvas Coach bags can do okay. I just wouldn't recommend paying up for it, but vintage and leather, chef's kiss. Lululemon has fallen off of a cliff, but I wanted to mention it because there are still some great selling pieces. Lululemon 5 years ago was the activewear brand to beat, right? Like it was, if you found it, you were like, oh my God, I found Lululemon. I'm gonna resell these for like 50 bucks. Now it's like 20 to 30. It's just everywhere. I love still selling Lululemon men's. I don't pay up for Lululemon. Where I live, they mark it very high. I was just at the thrift store and they had a whole Lululemon section, like a rack, and everything was 20 bucks and up. And the thing is, now you can get Lululemon on eBay and Poshmark for like 20 to 30 bucks. So definitely check comps. I love selling the men's. I love the jackets, the outerwear. And I actually do find it quite a bit here in LA. It's just very marked up. So definitely check your comps. Same girl, different day. Had to switch it up a little bit because this is a long video. Give you a change of scenery. different makeup look. Not that you care, but when we have the long videos, why not? If you are still here, don't forget to subscribe. If you got some value out of this, if you like this type of video, I'm gonna be uploading multiple times a week. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to do more videos like this. Let's keep on going. We're entering the brands that I would like to call the trendy brands, the brands that you can find at multiple retailers. First up, Norma Kamali. I have sold this brand a couple of times over the years. I'm not gonna lie and say a ton. I've sold it on eBay mostly, and I've only found it thrifted a couple times. I do get this brand quite a bit in pallets, and it sits. But then when I have found it thrifted, it sells well because I'm not pricing it as much. I probably have the stuff, honestly, that I got in pallets. This is a brand, makes very trendy, beautiful jumpsuits, dresses. It's sold at Revolve. They have their own website. It's sold at a couple high-end retailers. Their stuff is expensive. Like, I'm talking like 200 bucks and upwards to close to $1,000. So I probably have the stuff that I have from my palette marked too high. I need to check comps. But when I did find it thrifted, I sold a jumpsuit for $80 that I found at the bins. That has never happened again. I've never found this brand again at the bins, and I have found it at the thrift store. So trendy brand to keep in mind. Next up, Tula Rosa. I actually do find this quite a bit at the thrift store. LA thrift stores love to mark this brand up, and I've also found it at the bins. It's another brand that's sold at Revolve, sold at a couple high-end retailers. I think I've seen it sold at Bloomingdale's. Not as expensive as Norma Kamali. Very trendy, sexy pieces, but they also make more casual clothing like tops, skirts, dresses. So another trendy brand. Girlfriend, but this is spelled G-R. I had to write all these down so that we could go in order, move fast, and I could keep them in my head. G-R. So if you see me looking down, I'm literally like, I've created lists for these. These videos take a lot of time. So if you enjoy them, please subscribe. Thank you. Okay. GRLFND. I've put it somewhere on the screen. Their jeans sell very quickly for me. Very quickly for me. This is a brand sold again, trendy, very popular right now. As I'm filming this, 2023, retails for a lot. Like, their jeans usually retail starting at 200 bucks. Sometimes you can find them on sale for a little bit less than that. I have found it at the thrift. I have also gotten it in liquidation. I should have mentioned this in the beginning, but all of these brands I'm mentioning, I have found at the thrift store. Well, like 99% of them, okay? I wanted this video to be very accessible and usable no matter where you are in your reselling business. If you only thrift, I wanted this to be helpful for you. If you only do liquidation, this should be helpful to you. If you only do live selling, like however you get your inventory, I wanted this to be helpful. So like 90%, 90 to 99% of these brands, let's just say 90 to be safe, I've found at the thrift store. And I've also maybe gotten them in a pallet, and I'll try to tell you which I find more of where, okay? Lovers and Friends in Los Angeles specifically, and actually not even just in LA. Whenever I thrift in major cities, I find this a lot because I think it's just a trendy brand with people, I don't know, that live in cities. I do not pay up for this brand at the thrift store. This brand used to sell a lot better for me years ago, and I feel like over the years it's just because I find it more and more at the thrift, they mark it up. Like, I found a Lovers and Friends dress that was like on sale at Goodwill for like 30 bucks, and I was like, no, I could, if I was lucky, I'd be able to resell that for 50. But when I do get it new with tags, it does very well for me on Poshmark. I got a lot of it in a Revolve palette, did really well, and it also does really well for me on live sales. That's another one. If you are a live seller, some of these brands may do better than others. So just keep that in mind. When I find it at the thrift, I don't pay up for it. Liquidation, if it's new, I can mark it up. But at the thrift store, I try to keep it depending on what it is. If it's a dress and it's a really popular dress, like 10 bucks or under, but they start all of our dresses here at $10. Their swimwear does really good too. NBD, another Revolve trendy brand. I think it stands for no big deal or nobody's business. No, I think it's no big deal. Anyways, NBD, I'll put the tag somewhere. Dresses, love them. I find them at the thrift, not often, but I have, and I've resold them for a great profit margin. I've gotten them in pallets, new. They sell super quick if they're new. If they're not new and they're thrifted, it can take a little longer, but it will sell, especially if it's a dress currently in 2023. Retro Feet, is it Retro Feet? Retro Feet, another Revolve brand, but it's also sold at a couple high-end retailers. I think I've even seen it at Nordstrom and Bloomingdale's. Very trendy dresses. Taylor Swift has worn them. A lot of celebrities wear their dresses. I've only found it twice at the thrift store. I have received it in liquidation and it sells quickly, especially if you have a trendy piece from that brand. Another trendy brand, Love Shack Fancy. I feel like if you're watching this video, you've probably heard of that brand. Very feminine, like traditional feminine floral dresses, tops, very expensive. I find this a lot at consignment stores. If you're not having luck finding some of these trendier brands at like a Goodwill or Savers, try consignment stores. I find this a lot at Crossroads. Crossroads is a popular, I think they're a nationwide consignment store, Buffalo Exchange. A lot of these like trendier ones that I've just mentioned, I usually find them at consignment stores. A Goldie, another trendy girl brand, very popular jeans. I think that's what sells the best for me. This is another one I find a ton at consignment stores. I'll pay anywhere from $20 to $40. They mark it up here and it'll sell within like 2 weeks for double the price. It's very popular. A lot of their jeans are really high quality, like cotton, 100% cotton, really good quality stuff. Helsa, this is a newer brand to me. I had not heard of until I got in liquidation. I had never received this brand, never found it in the thrift store. I got it in liquidation. I've sold it in a couple live sales and I've also sold it on eBay. Very beautiful dresses, very expensive, like 300 bucks and up. I think the most affordable piece I've seen from them is something on sale online for like $250. Blank NYC. Oh, this brand. I loved. You guys know their moto jackets. They're faux leather jackets that we all see at TJ Maxx and Marshalls now. Like 5 to 7 years ago, you guys, I could find those at the thrift store and sell those for so much money. I would find them for like 10, 15 bucks and they would sell for like 80, 90 bucks. Now they're all over TJ Maxx, Marshalls. So I don't pick up those moto jackets anymore, like the faux leather jackets. And I really like them personally. I own a lot of them that I find thrifted. But what does pretty well for me from this brand still are certain styles of jeans. And I find them every single time I go to the bins. At least one pair of jeans. I also find it at the thrift store. Ow, this kid is like kicking my butt, you guys. I'm currently 36 weeks and I'm like having contractions, like 1 or 2 every day. Kind of hurt. Okay, pregnancy moment. Moving on, let's keep going. Now, it wouldn't be a me video if I did not mention this brand. I'm sorry if I keep itching. This hair is like super itchy. I'll try to stop doing that because I know it bugs some of you guys. SKIMS has been the #1 selling brand for me for the last year. If you are new here, I did a whole video on it. If I can remember, I'll link it down below. One of my local suppliers, about a year ago, June 2022, said, hey, I have a bunch of SKIMS. Do you want to buy it? And I was like, heck yeah. So since that last year, I have purchased and sold over 1,000 pieces of SKIMS. I am not going to lie to you and tell you I find SKIMS all the time at the thrift store. I do not. I have found it at the thrift store. I found a SKIMS like little pouch, like the purse that you use or the pouch you use to hold the shapewear, and that is still listed. It has not sold. I found it like 6 months ago at the bins, and I found a SKIMS bodysuit at the bins. So maybe in your area you can find it. I know a lot of people have luck finding SKIMS retail arbitrage at Nordstrom Rack. I specifically get mine from a local supplier, and it has been my #1 best-selling brand since I got that. Now, I didn't know whether or not I should include this because not everybody has a SKIMS local supplier, and I will never tell you who that person is. So many people message me. I literally get messages daily asking me who my local supplier is. I would never tell you that. But I felt like it wouldn't be fair for me to do this video without mentioning how great of a brand it is to sell. No matter how you feel about Kim Kardashian or that family, people love her stuff. It has a cult following. I sell it on all platforms. I sell it on Poshmark Live. I sell it on eBay. I sell it on Whatnot. I list it traditionally. I sell it on live sales. People love it. It does great for me. I don't know. I don't want to say you won't find it at the thrift store. I have found it, like I said, twice, but that's not a lot. But you may have some luck finding it at Nordstrom Rack. I know a ton of people around the country, my reselling friends, that find hundreds of pieces of it at Nordstrom Rack. I've literally gone to all of the Nordstrom Racks in the Los Angeles area, and we have a lot of Nordstrom Racks. I've even gone an hour east of LA to the Nordstrom Rack, and they don't have any SKIMS. So I don't know if it's a regional thing, but like my friend in Florida gets, like, I'm not kidding, like 100 pieces of SKIMS a week from Nordstrom Rack for like pennies on the dollar, and then sells it and makes a great profit. So just an option for you. You know, that's the great thing about reselling, you guys. Just a little soapbox moment. You can get inventory however works best for you. If that's thrifting, great. If that's the bins, great. If you're more of a retail arbitrage person, get on it. What about online arbitrage? Like, there are so many ways for you to find inventory. So don't let your location stifle you, where you live. Go online, you know. Lots of people totally just run their whole business from online arbitrage. So do your research, check the comps, but I felt like it wouldn't be right if I didn't include that brand. Next up, Alo Yoga. Gosh, this brand has plummeted. I remember when I could sell Alo Yoga leggings and flip them all day for like 30, 40 bucks. Now I'm lucky to get like 20 to 30, and the sell-through rate's not that great, but I will say I find it a lot at the bins. If it's in good shape, I pick it up, and it may take 6 months to a year to sell unless you find a unique print, because these leggings are really expensive. Like, they're like Gymshark, Lululemon pricing, but I think just because they're being found more and more everywhere that they just don't sell for as much, but I still pick it up at the bins. Steve Madden, you can fight me on this. I personally love wearing Steve Madden shoes. I think they do a really good job of duping higher end brand styles. So I love picking it up for myself. It's one of my favorite, like, mid-range, they can get kind of expensive, mid-range shoe brands to buy personally, and I love reselling it, you guys. I find it used. If you can find a trendy style at the thrift store, of course, do your research, look up comps. Not all of them sell for great money. Like, a pair of 10-year-old beat-up Steve Madden shoes aren't going to resell for great, but if you can find like a trendy shoe that they've made that people can't find anymore, you could do really well. I pick it up a lot at the bins. I pick it up a lot at traditional thrift stores. I wish I would get it in liquidation. I don't. That is a brand that I find solely thrifted, and I love selling it. And I personally buy it a lot for myself. Reformation. I mean, do we need to stay here long? It's, well, if you're new to reselling, maybe we should. It's a trendy brand. They, I was looking at their website recently because I found a thrifted dress. They use a lot of sustainable fabrics. They make dresses. They make a lot of casual wear, a lot of sets. Their stuff is expensive. Anywhere from like $100 to $500. Some pieces do better than others. I particularly love selling their dresses. Don't find it a ton at the thrift store, but I do find it a lot at buy sell trade stores. It's sold at Revolve, their own website. A ton of it is sold at Nordstrom too, so it's worth looking up. VIORI, am I pronouncing that right? Newer to me brand. I don't find it that often. I recently found a bunch of their leggings at a consignment store, and they all sold within like a month. So check it out. Retails for quite a bit. It has a following. I was just at a buy sell trade store and I saw like 8 of them, and I was like, I should look up the sell-through rate. They all sold within a month. Fairty, am I pronouncing that right? Fairty, I love selling the men's clothing from this line. It's very popular. It sells very fast. Lots of casual wear, lots of cotton. I recently found a linen shirt at the bins. I paid $2.10 for it, and it sold for 40 bucks, literally in like a week. I love selling men's in that brand. Dress the Population. This brand used to sell really great for me, and I don't know what happened. I've been to a couple of live sales where people are selling this brand, and I'm thinking they're getting it in liquidation or something, but the prices have tanked for me. Like, I find this brand quite a bit at consignment stores, sometimes at the thrift store, and it's a dress brand. They make gorgeous dresses. They make dresses for a work event. They make dresses if you're trying to slut it up for the evening. I hate to use that because sometimes when I say that, it offends people, but you know what I'm saying. If you're trying to have a little sexy night, they make dresses for that. Their dresses range anywhere from like $100 to a couple $100. But I've noticed that the sell-through rate has gone down, and they don't sell for quite as much, but they still do pretty well for me. So WAIF, W-A-Y-F, which I recently learned stands for Where Are You From? It's a Nordstrom house brand. It's one of their more affordable brands. I find it a lot at the thrift store. Occasionally I'll find it at like TJ Maxx and Marshall's. Doesn't do as well as it used to, but I wanted to mention a couple brands that I always find thrifting that are like bread and butter brands for me. So if I find a trendy piece from this brand at the thrift store for $5 to $10, I pick it up and sell it for like $15 to $30. I am not beneath a good $10 to $15 profit. Theory. This is a brand, I've said this over the years, that I find every single time I go thrifting. Every single time. I don't know if it's a Los Angeles thing or what. I find it at the bins. I find it at the thrift store. I find it at consignment stores. I do not pick up all of it. Like pre-pandemic, I did so well selling Theory workwear on ThredUp, on The RealReal, and eBay. And that has since tanked because a lot of people still don't go back to the office. But I do love still selling some of their pants, some of their coats. They all still do really well for me. So I would say just look up the different styles of things. Some of you may not agree with me on this one. I love selling Ralph Lauren. I love selling Ralph Lauren men's pieces. I love selling Ralph Lauren coats. And I'm not talking like the fancy black label, purple label. Of course I love selling those. I don't find those a ton. Sometimes I find them online arbitrage. If you didn't know, like the black label and the purple label, I believe those are the most expensive labels, lines. There's different tiers of Ralph Lauren, but I love selling the blue label, the green label, especially in men's coats, jackets. Do your due diligence, look up comps, but the blazers, the jackets, and the men's, love it. Find it every time I go to the thrift store. Also love selling women's Ralph Lauren dresses. And I'm just talking about plain old, what is it? Ralph, I think it's Ralph Lauren. The green label, the blue label, love it. Look it up. Plus size women's, men's jackets, blazers, every single time I go thrifting. Tadashi Soji. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I have found this a lot at consignment stores and actually quite a bit at Goodwill. Super beautiful gown designer, sold at Nordstrom, I think Bloomingdale's, a couple of retailers. They also sell on their own website. Pretty expensive. Their dresses go anywhere from like, I've seen them on sale occasionally for like $150, but they can go up to the hundreds of dollars. Resells really well, especially if you can find like size 10 and up. Beautiful. Also a good brand to look online arbitrage, like ThredUp. Sometimes even The RealReal will have it on sale for like pennies, guys. And you can sell these like plus size gowns on Poshmark or eBay. Another gown brand, McDougal. I love selling McDougal. I get a ton of this brand in pallets. Very popular gown brand, sold at Nordstrom, sold at their own website. I saw it sold somewhere else also. Pretty expensive. They do have some gowns in like the $1 to $150 range, but most of them are a couple $100s. They do beautiful gowns in plus size. I find it at consignment stores. I get it in pallets. Love selling that one. Ecco shoes is a brand that I find quite a bit at the thrift store, and I've done pretty well selling over the years. Specifically is it the men's sandals that I do really well in? Sometimes I find this brand really beat up, but even beat up, I found some at the bins. They were, I think they were men's, but I listed them as unisex because I was like, these could go either way. They were kind of heavy, so I paid like $3 for them, but they sold for like $30 overnight. So my last one is a plus size brand, City Chic. Oh my God, it's so hot here today, you guys. I think it's like close to 80. City Chic. This is a newer to me brand that I used to pass at the thrift store for years, and I really regret doing that. I started getting it in liquidation like 3 years ago, and now when I go thrifting, I see it and I look up comps. They are really known for making plus size dresses. I don't know if they make anything non-plus size. I've only resold the plus size dresses, and they can retail for quite a bit. Some of their dresses I found, like the little midi dresses, are like $50, but it can go up to like $150, $200. I don't pay up for the brand if I find it at the thrift store. Recently found a City Chic size 16 dress. I paid $10 for it, and I sold it for $55 in 2 weeks. So newer to me brand that I've been passing up. You ever have those brands that you've seen at the thrift store for years and you're just like, oh, because the tag doesn't look like anything special, and I need to stop doing that because I always tell you guys, you got to look up comps. So I would always pass it. I've seen it for years. And just when I started getting it in my Nordstrom palettes, I was like, I've been passing up this brand. I didn't know it retailed for so much. So find it at the thrift store, get it in liquidation, really popular, plus size dress brand. They also make other things. All right, that's 50 brands. I hope that you found this helpful. This was a lot of work. Please give this a thumbs up if you did. Share it with a friend. Subscribe. I am here for you multiple times a week. And if I don't go into labor tomorrow, you'll probably see me really soon. So don't forget to subscribe. Let me know if you want me to keep doing these types of videos, because like I said, I feel like they are very time sensitive. These things change all the time. Sometimes brands like break through and make this huge rise and are super popular, and then sometimes brands tank. So we could do it like once a month. We could do it twice a month. I love watching these videos. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you soon.